All right, let's get started. I'm Sam Bogoch, CEO and co-founder of Axle AI. I'm joined by Patrice Gutebel, my co-founder, who's kind of our lead technical dude, and most importantly, by Scott Salik of Carpe Canum, which is a very exciting agency that does, I would say, kind of next generation video work, and longtime customer of ours, and somebody who I've always enjoyed talking to, and who knows more about targeted video than almost anybody.
Good to see you.
Let's see. I think the format today, we're going to spend probably about a half hour just chatting. We are thrilled if people have questions or want to lead the conversation in certain directions. So feel free to jump on the chat and do that. Probably most importantly, we've got a lot of time at the end for further open-ended conversation. So don't feel like you have to wait till that part. You can ask questions along the way. We'll be answering questions as we go. Again, this is less of a product webinar or discussion, and really more about some of the innovative things that Scott and his team are doing, and kind of the bigger trends in media and media production, because it's been obviously a wrenching year for the industry. Everybody has been seeing what's been going on with the studios. You had the fires in LA, and you've had layoffs and this and that. And meanwhile, what we at Axle are seeing is a lot of growth from places that you would not have expected historically. So outfits like Scott's, where they're doing tons and tons of highly creative, cutting edge work, but it couldn't be farther from like episodic shows or traditional movies or Netflix. It's a lot more about how video gets used tactically in a sort of hyper personalized, hyper customized way for outreach. And so that's really the subject of today's discussion. It turns out that along the way, doing that kind of work benefits a lot from having media management, AI powered search, browser based collaboration, all the things that Axel does. But I think there's more than enough to talk about in terms of Scott's own experiences. And so, Scott, maybe you give us a little rundown on how you got here, and maybe where you started
Yeah.
and where things are today.
So just to give you a perspective, I've been doing this for a long time. I started on something called tape, and even on very beginning of my career on something called 2-inch tape, and I've moved through a number of hundreds of format changes in the commercial and broadcast industry. I've worked on every size screen, from feature films to broadcast to the phone to whatever. So I've seen a lot of evolution in the technology. I've always been fortunate that I understand technology, and I've been able to take advantage of it for where I am in production. But what we do now is that my partner and I have an agency that creates super targeted commercials for streaming television. We're partners with a company called TV Scientific, and what they do, they can literally track from the point of exposure on a streaming commercial to the sale on their website. So we can see full attribution for a target audience. And what that allows us to do is break the audience into different targeted groups based on their interests. So we can adjust the people in the commercial. We can adjust the call to action in the commercial and just send it to that micro targeted group and be able to track it all the way through from the point of exposure to when the sale is made. Now, what that requires is technology that can move really fast and be very, very flexible. So that's where Axel comes in. I've been working with Sam since he had hair, and when he came out with the on-prem system. So I've worked on both his hardware system and also now his cloud system. The hardware system was great when I worked at companies that had lots of media. We worked at the last company I worked at had literally decades of video that we had to load up onto servers and to store and to be able to access historical footage. Nowadays, what we're doing is we're getting all these clips in from clients, and we need to be able to go through them and pick out the right clips to create a commercial. But we also have to allow the customer to be able to help in that process, and the editors to be able to help in that process, so that they can all access the footage easily. And the great thing about Axle Cloud is that it allows us to give a client link, which just allows the client to look at that footage, or our team can look at any of the footage we want them to look at on the Axle. So the other thing that Axle has done for us, it allows us to save a lot of money on our other platforms. So our infrastructure is based on a product called Suite Studios, which is great, and it allows us to have our editors anywhere. So we have editors throughout the United States and throughout the world who work for us. And so instead of having to dump all those clips onto the Suite Studio storage and spend money for that, we're able to put it into Axle. We're able to make the selects in our scripts. Then the editors can pull down the specific clip that they need for the edit and drop it into Suite. And that's reduced our storage cost tremendously. And it's a really easy flow. And if you can email me or text me or reach out through our website, and I can talk about how we do that off of this webinar. Anyway, Sam, that's basic background with us.
Okay, thanks. That was more of a product plug than I was expecting, but that's all good. Delighted. Maybe I have a few slides. Maybe I could just step through those to give people an idea of the bigger picture here, because we have kind of an overview of what we do. So our thesis is that all video is becoming searchable. In theory, of course, it has been or is becoming so, but in reality, most of the videos that people have are sitting on hard drives, sitting on old tapes, sitting on network devices with just folder structures. But over the next couple of years, we're about halfway through this progression. By the end of 2026, you won't be doing your job if your video isn't searchable. That's become important because of social media, because the fact that all that video is suddenly in demand. You don't know by whom, you don't know for what, you just know that people are going to be coming at you asking for stuff. Usually it's social media departments or it's marketers, and they're like, I remember we had a clip of so-and-so talking about this. And if you're sitting there with 100 terabytes of material and no clue where all this stuff lives, then you're kind of out of luck. So that ability to turn on a dime, find the right material, and repurpose it is key. And one of the things that I find really exciting about Scott's business is that he is doing that for his customers, with his customers. It's not the old stodgy, like, oh, we'll get back to you in 30 days and with a rough cut, and then you approve or not. And it's more like, hey, what do you think? Here's some options. Let us know how this could turn it, and then basically Scott and his team are like slicing and dicing it and going to air, but not only to air, traditionally air, but they're going in a hyper targeted way. So if I remember right, Scott, you're working with like car dealerships and going like hyper regional. You're working with colleges that are trying to market to local student bases and stuff like that. So it's
So the cool thing about the university stuff is, right, they'll have different levels of commercials. So they'll have to people who are kind of interested, and then people who have already responded to their emails will be a separate call to action on the commercial. And then people who have already accepted, that'll be a separate commercial that's targeted to their homes. And so, we have to be able to modify those commercials really quickly using the existing footage that the client has provided, because universities are very specific on the footage that they can use, and be able to change those commercials out really quickly. And they've got to stay fresh in order to keep this, especially with that student audience at that age. You got to keep on updating those commercials quickly in order to keep it fresh and keep the kids engaged and drive attendance. And we've seen, we do the university stuff with a company called Ambio EDU, and they are seeing tremendous response and growth in enrollment interest as a result of these targeted commercials. And you can look at ambioedu.com's site, and you can see they've got a bunch of case studies showing how it's working, and we're amazed at it. But Axle allows us to work with the client and just they help us pick the shot that they want. So we're allowed to turn stuff really, really quickly. It's not the old school where you would send a rough cut and it moves way too fast. I can't believe how fast we're able to move right now. And my partner is on the post side, and he's always turning the stuff at the end of the day. So we have as fast a turnaround as an hour from the point of edit to when we push it out to TV Scientific or the streaming platform.
Yep.
Get it on the air. Sometimes it's as little as an hour and a half to get it on.
Right. And obviously I see a lot of folks on the guest list here that, are from the post-production industry, supplying the post-production industry. This could not be more different, obviously, than a traditional episodic show or movie, which, takes months just to get the planning and budget put together. This is more like I need something this afternoon for this audience. What do you got? You know, and the tone can change and the content can change very rapidly on the fly almost, as Scott is pointing out. So it's
Yeah,
just,
it was funny. I was over at NBC Universal last week with visiting with some friends and taking them on a tour of the back lot and the studios, and I saw these giant buildings there, and I thought, man, I've worked on at the Universal a lot on a couple of films that I worked on, and it was always bustling with activity. Now it's like a ghost town there. I was shocked. I just don't understand what's going to happen. And there's still a need for obviously big epic productions. I think Spider-Man was shooting, the new Spider-Man was shooting at the same time when we walked by that, but that was really the only activity on the back lot. I worked on Universal the first time in the 90s, and it was crazy busy. And now it's just, it was amazing how quiet it was there.
yeah. And I guess a lot of the shoots are also moving to, you know, subsidized locations. So, I mean, there's a lot of trends that Hollywood is kind of not benefiting from, right? You know, if you can do something in Vancouver or in Croatia or wherever.
Atlanta, Atlanta's a great town for shooting
Yeah, yeah,
stuff.
of course. Of course. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Um, this is a little bit from Scott's website. Carpe Canum. Maybe you want to explain what Carpe Canum means?
Oh, Carpe Canum means so when basically Carpe Canum means seize the dog, right? And so a dog is like a bad script or a crappy show. It's that thing's a dog. So when I lost my job like 15 years ago, I decided I was going to make the best out of the worst situation. So Carpe Canum means make the best out of the worst. And it means whatever content you have as a client or your goals are, we're going to make it work. We're going to figure out a way to make it work. And that's been our kind of motto ever since we started.
Cool.
And what's crazy now is, oh, you're going to the social. We take a lot of stuff. We get a lot of the weirdest stuff you can imagine from clients, like social clips, stuff they shot on their phones, and we have to turn it into commercials. This example here is a 16-minute YouTuber who did a whole post on this ADHD product called Done First. And Done First came to us and said, any way you can make this into a 30-second commercial? And so we were able to download the media from YouTube. One of our team members watched it, created a story, and we turned it into a 30-second commercial, and it's been super successful for them. And it's just an example of how fast and how flexible we have to be.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a different world. I mean, and your source material was already a YouTube clip, so you were just
Yeah,
kind of
we downloaded.
recapturing it and yeah, working it from there. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a great spot. If you go to our website, which is carpecanum.com, and click on see our work, the big pink button, you can see all these examples.
Cool. Yeah, I've got a couple of other just random pages from the site. Um, but I don't want to turn it too much of a product plug for you either. I mean,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
fine.
it's all good. But yeah, I mean, so here's the big question. Where do you see the industry going at this rate? Is it going to just keep getting faster and faster and
Yeah, there's no.
smaller and smaller? And is it going to be like a giant version of TikTok, which is already pretty giant?
Uh, Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think you're gonna have to, as a production team, you're gonna have to be able to move faster and be more flexible. And because all these people have grown up with the phones and production studios on their in their hand, they all want to be involved with the production. And you have to have digital tools like Axel and Suite Studios and that allow the clients to put their finger in there and to be able to comment in on it because honestly, everybody feels that they're a producer, and you have to respect that as an agency. You have to respect and have patience with that. Although, I just find myself in yoga-ish meditation a lot in some of those meetings, but you have to be willing to do that. In order to do that and to help keep your costs down and not have to doing re-edits, you have to engage the client and
Right.
allow them to do the media.
Because
You,
otherwise you'll spend too much time on it, deliver it, and that's not what I was thinking at all, right?
you
They'll
have
be
to be
just
able to
like, yeah,
You have to be able to, be able to show it all. You have to not be embarrassed by it. It's just you have to. Okay, they're gonna see the raw clips and have access to that. But as a result of that, from all production people, we all know that people talk on sets and it gets recorded. So you have to be kind of conscious of that, that the
Right.
client can have access to all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really, really important that you kind of keep that in mind, your whole production timeline, so you don't get caught saying something that they don't hear something that may be out of context, you know. Um,
I mean, the
but
other thing is it's not that far from the old Hero Studio, Hero editing suites where you'd have like the fancy leather couch and you'd have some sandwiches and the editor would like walk in and say, and now, and the client would be like leaning over their shoulder and, kind of morning quarterbacking what was going on. It's a little bit like that, only now everybody can do it and it's all distributed and it's all in your browser.
yeah, but in
And
those days, we used to have the thing where when the client would say, something's wrong with it. I don't know if I like the timing, and you would give the editor a cue, and he would make all the tape machines spin around, and like with all this whirring and stuff. He hit a bunch of keys on the keyboard, and then it would just be all smoke and mirrors, and then you would say to the client, "We just adjusted it 4 or 5 frames. What do you think?" And they would go, "That's much better."
it would
And
be the same thing or
same
not. I
exact
don't know.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
but remember,
Ah,
you had generation loss back then, so you had to always be conscious of not keep on cutting into punching in and punching in because you had generation loss. Now we don't have the problem of generation loss anymore. But that was one of the things we used to do. Can you adjust it 5 frames? And like, I used to do a lot of work at a place called Post Perfect in New York, and they had built the editing bay to look like the inside of the Enterprise. It was a two-story. It was in the old print floor of the Daily News, so it was a two-story edit machine room, and it was all lit to look really cool. And we used to make those machines turn, you know.
whether they were doing something or not. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
the other
yeah,
thing is back then they used to charge you per machine, and it was a fortune to keep on adding machines and digital effects. Now you can do it. I mean, I can do way more on my phone, and it's just remarkable. It gives you this amazing flexibility. But having learned linear editing, I believe that I can make better nonlinear. I believe you can make better nonlinear decisions and be able to think quicker.
yeah. Oh, and there's no doubt, like some of that baked in knowledge has to be, really helpful on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So one other question I have is, the whole type hyper targeted, hyper localized aspect of this. So, like, let's say you do get an ad that your client likes, or an approach for creating ads that your client likes. How much like chopping up and kind of multi-purposing is going on, and is that trend increasing, would you say?
Yeah, as clients understand it more, and clients are more data driven these days than ever, there is. But what's interesting is you've got to keep on reminding the client you want to change one thing in the commercial, right? You don't want to change 5 different things because you're not really A/B testing then. You are we changing just the call to action? Are we changing the music? Okay, so you can do something where you change the audience. And so let's say you go from a more female audience you want to target the commercial to, you can
Yep,
change the commercial out so there's more female faces in that to target to that. But when we build anything, we build it in a very layered mentality. So that we know that we can change out the graphics, the music, the VO, the images, the effects based on the targeting that we know there'll be an evolution of the targeting. Um, because you want the client to get as much use out of the commercial as possible. But we also you want to keep our agency in business making updates to it for them. So
totally. Yeah. We're going to be next week. We're going to be announcing a partnership with a company called Data Clay, which, for those who don't know about it, they basically take like a spreadsheet's worth of information, which could be metadata or, lower thirds or pointers to different videos, and then like push it through After Effects and spit out a bazillion versions of the same commercial.
yeah,
So
I can't wait to meet those guys because
yeah, they'll be
we work with a couple other companies that were developing similar technology. And the problem with some of that, and again, we beta test a lot of stuff because of our relationship with TV Scientific, so we get to see a lot of stuff before it comes out, is that if you're changing clips out, you still have to adjust the sequence, and it doesn't necessarily dynamically adjust the commercial. So you still need something called a human to really do it. I
I
realize
think
that.
realistically, that's going to be the case for a while, right? Yeah. I mean, if obviously one component of a spot doesn't line up well with, if the text runs long and wraps around, and someone's got to spot that. And I was talking to another of our customers last month about this, and you know, they do a lot of this kind of automation, but they also have to watch it like a hawk.
Yeah,
And
we have an AI product that we do. It's super low cost, super for local markets. We work with a lot of different radio station groups who are selling digital, and there's another major, let's say, cable company who uses the platform, but they don't have a human touch to it. They don't put a human
yeah,
in it. And I've seen a lot of their spots that come off. I know it's the same platform because I can tell, and it doesn't. You need a human, and then we really focus on making sure even though we're using all these AI tools and digital tools, we still have a human touch to it because I think that makes there's still humans watching this stuff.
totally. Oh, for a while yet. I mean, at some point we'll be just advertising to
Well,
LLMs and
Uncle Elon's robots will be watching it for us,
yeah. Uh, so, all right. I mean, first of all, I want to make sure that folks know that they can ask questions at any time. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I really feel like this is a basic transformation of the media industry from these big monolithic shows that take, whatever it is, 50 minutes or a couple of hours, uh, big blocks of media, 60-second Super Bowl spots that, cost millions of dollars to produce and just as much to air. Um, I mean, those are just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. You're really trying to reach the widest possible audience and hoping that a tiny percentage of them will do something different as a result of watching that. Whereas here, it's all about the hyper targeting. There's lots of evidence that it works. And the hard part has always been having the kind of targetability to reach the people in the demographic that you were trying to reach. Obviously, Facebook and other social media platforms have increased that hyper targeting significantly. So, you can call up really obscure demographics from a corporate Facebook account and say, I want to advertise to this age range, living in this part of this city, with the following interests. And so that's been there now for a few years, but what's been missing is the content that can directly address those people, where they live, for lack of a better term.
So a couple of things on that, Sam. So you say you're looking at it from the media standpoint, like the productions, the size of the production, right?
Right.
Uh, like the big studio shows, stuff like that. Like so I've worked for a while I've worked on every scale production, and I don't think I don't think I'm out of line saying that. But I worked for a company. I've had 25, 30 people working for me, um, and having these big organizations to turn out. And now it's my partner and I and a coordinator, and everybody else is freelance basically. So
Yep.
it does a lot of things. It reduces my stress level. It reduces down, the time it takes to get things done, the cost to get things done, and also your life as a production company and a company having to have employees, reliability, and it allows you to be a lot more flexible for these clients who didn't used to be able to afford TV. The great thing about targeted TV and TV scientific is that you can target any size business can have a commercial now and get it on the air. No budget is too small to get it on the air. So as a production company, we have a structure where we look at it that way. So we have an $875 product, and we'll go as high as $100,000 on a commercial. Much more than 100,000. I mean, we would do bigger commercials if we needed to. We can, but too many cups of cappuccino involved with that. Too many people. You can't move fast on a big commercial like that. And,
Yeah.
and and my partner and I are just not interested you know, in going after that kind of business because you cannot move fast on that. There's too many people, too many commenters,
Cooks in the kitchen. Yes.
Yeah, too many people with creative input, shall we say? We'll call it that.
Makes total sense. Um, Interesting. But I imagine you got lots of repeat customers that keep coming back for chunks and chunks and chunks that build into pretty significant campaigns.
Yeah, we have a number of, of customers who just do updates all the time. We did one commercial for them, and now we just update it every. We have one commercial we know we update every month. Right now we have one client. It's a financial company, and we have to update for FINRA to make sure the FINRA compliance is there. So, and we turn those around in an hour. The cool thing is obviously we're using AI VOs for certain things. You can and you don't have to go back to VO talent. You can just quickly change out the AI VO. And the AI VOs are good enough to use in most cases nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's all about like embracing the tools and kind of balancing, analog analog-ish tools with digital tools to give the client what they want. And I call it the gone with the wind syndrome, whereas no matter what a client is spending, they still want to see the giant boom shot over Tara as it's burning, and see the sun going down in the background. It's like you have to figure out a way to give them that, make them understand they're getting that for what their budget allows.
Right. Makes sense. Well, and so another kind of historical slice of this obviously was COVID. I remember working with you before COVID, and everything was on-prem for you, and you had all your storage, and the whole team was there in one or two offices, and then and you were like most people in our industry at that time. And then COVID hit, everybody started working from home. Everybody started using these distributed tools.
Yeah.
There was a degree of connection to the mothership because if you had hundreds of terabytes, as many of our customers do, that didn't just, navigate its way to the cloud automatically and may not have even been cost effective to move to the cloud, right? I mean, at a certain point,
Yeah,
you just do the math.
cloud wasn't, the best thing to come out of COVID is these virtual tools that became real, that we had always talked about, they never really quite did what they said. Like Zoom, for the perfect example, this Zoom conference we're on right now,
Right.
it would be spotty. There was something called Skype, that people used to use to do
It's
this.
actually going offline next month. It's very
I
sad.
know, it's
They
sad.
kept it going, and they
Yeah.
the heck with it.
Yeah,
But
Microsoft blew
That's
that
fine
one.
because it's my
But
favorite one.
uh,
You're
it is.
trashing
It's
Skype.
still
It has been
very
my
good,
favorite.
actually.
I
It's
know.
still shockingly good, but oh
I am
well.
like in the era of MSN and all these things, so I need something simple. I don't need something like Teams or Zoom. Like I try to do everything in one platform.
yeah,
If I
We
need to
sound like
chat, I need to
those old
chat.
guys, oh, like
I
landline
know.
phones are the best. It's
hey,
like, sorry, dude. It
I'm
came
getting
and
to that
went.
age.
Yes.
so what we did was, so when COVID hit, we had a whole production team in Los Angeles, and there was a server room at the place. Oh, that's my dog Cooper. Um, he always has to make an appearance. Um, we literally put masks on, went into the server room, took everything out of the server room, and then give me my hand.
So is he the Canum in Carpe Canum?
He is the Canum. Well, he's the Canum right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good boy. So we went, and what I did was I brought everything to my house. I took the coat closet, got the highest speed Spectrum line I could get, got a portable air conditioner, put the portable air conditioner, knocked a hole in the wall outside so that would vent outside, and put all the servers into that closet. And then Sam helped us set up VPN access to our on-prem system, and that's how we function, because we were an
Yeah.
essential business, and we had to continue to turn out video.
Yep.
We never really lost a beat, because we were it was a nutrition company, and they had to stay. They were considered essential business.
That's a nice. Yeah, I guess. Did anyone in the production field in LA qualify for that during COVID, or?
Oh yeah, everybody figured out a way. I mean, all these
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well,
Interesting. And then at some point you realized, I guess when that gig ended and you transitioned to this agency model so that you didn't have the hundreds of terabytes of legacy footage, you figured you could just start fresh with our cloud product because why not, right?
Oh
There
yeah,
was no,
we had the file product. Yeah, you helped us out with that, and we had it on a Mac, an M1 Mac Mini, I think.
yeah, yeah,
And it worked fine, but it was just the VPN access was terrible and unreliable just because of the bandwidth I had there.
yeah.
And so when the cloud products really started coming to life, I jumped on them, and they've turned out to be, a godsend, and helped us to expand our company and have it grow. We've been around for about 3.5 years now. We've doubled in size each year, just about. So
Great. We thought we were growing fast, but we're not doubling every year. So that's,
yeah,
you got us beat there. That's awesome.
yeah, I mean, we get, the cool thing about what we do is we get all different kinds of client. I'm not just making, we do mobile gaming, a lot of mobile gaming. We do universities, we do local car dealership. We have such a variety of clients. And for me, after being around and doing this for so long, it keeps it super interesting. So
Yeah, beats doing kind of nutraceutical
yeah, it's just,
commercials every day. Kind of,
but wait,
yeah.
there's more. I used to do infomercial stuff, but wait, there's more.
Cool. All right. Well, wanted to open things up to questions. I haven't seen any questions so far, but we could, demo some features and things and talk about how all this technology kind of works in the real world. I mean, one thing, Scott, is maybe talk a bit about how you let your customers search the materials directly. Like, because you've got obviously all the takes, maybe some user generated content from them. Do
Yeah,
you like put it all in a folder and then say have at it, or do you
Yeah,
guide
so we
them?
upload the project to a folder on Axle. I mean, if it's a big client, we'll put it on B2 and then connect. The great thing about Axle Cloud is you can put it on your B2 Backblaze storage, or you can can you use other stuff other than Backblaze? I'm not even
You
sure.
can, yeah, just about any S3 compatible storage, actually.
Yeah, so you can put it on your whatever he just said storage, and yeah. See, I don't know that I'm not that good at this technical stuff, but you can connect it up. So then Axel will scan your cloud storage, and then build a catalog. So if we have a lot of materials like 500 gigabytes, or really if it's above 200 gigabytes of material, we go B2 first, and then we connect B2 to Axel, and then it catalogs everything on B2, and then anybody can access it. So our editors have access to all of Axel, but the clients, you can click on the folder for the client and then give client access to the folder. And the great thing about that is the client can enter comments in onto Axel that the editor and that the entire team can see. This is a client called Farmer's Fridge, and we just shot a bunch of commercials for them. And so we gave the client access to Axel, and you can see here, I think you can see, is these little green indicators show that the client has gone in and flagged that piece of footage. So we don't have to guess what they chose. We can see the different things we can, and then you can go in the search and you can search. What we do is we tell them to put their name in the comments, so it'd be like Sam and then their comment, and then we can search for Sam. We can see all of Sam's comments right away. It makes it super easy and super fast to utilize Axel. So
In fact, if you want to open one, the reason why you see the 0 of 2, for example, is how many have been completed. Because if you, on the right side, if you click on comments,
Oh, I've
yeah,
seen those at airports, actually. I've seen their vending machines.
yeah, it's actually an excellent product. But you can see that we have there's like in this one, there's just 4 comments that were left.
and you can actually also click on a checkbox
Oh
on the
yeah,
right
see, yeah,
side to mark it as completed.
Mark. Well, we don't use it that way, but yes, you
Oh,
can.
okay.
But the good thing about it is you can click on the comment and it jumps right to that portion of the video. Super fast, super easy to see. You can jump around in the clip and you don't have to search it. It's an incredible time saver.
Are you guys doing using any of the transcription or AI features with that client, or?
Yeah, let me go back to it. So yeah, here's it's cataloging all the
Yep.
but then here's the script, right? Here's what
Right.
she said at the testimonial. So we can click on the different pieces and
Nice.
it'll jump to the place on again, you don't have to sit there and listen to it. I mean, another cool thing about it is, let's see if I can, I don't know if it's going to share sound. Hold on, let me redo it. It should share sound now, but like, so you can,
Oh, there we
Believe
go.
me, find a fridge and try.
so what you can do is you can also,
That take didn't go well.
well, we were shooting
Don't
in a
believe me?
mall next
Find
to
a
a train
fridge and try
station.
it for
So
yourself.
we had to keep on bringing.
Don't
But
believe me?
the good thing about it is you can also, you can hit play,
And try it
and
for
by hitting the
yourself.
L key, you can play,
Don't believe me? Find fridge and try
you
it for
can play the
yourself.
video back fast.
Don't believe me? Find a farmer's fridge near you and try it for yourself.
You can listen to it in fast time if you need to.
Yeah.
But then also with the AI functions, you can jump around and I can just go right to that place and just play.
Farmer's fridge.
Cool.
Always good to
So,
go.
you know,
We just got a question in, can you export an EDL from the client comments? I don't believe you can do it directly from the comments, but you can export an EDL, and you can also, we have a Premiere panel that ties into this,
Yeah.
so that you can basically export a bunch of clips into Premiere, and start working on it from any, connected laptop, wherever you are.
and so let me, as long as we're looking at Axel, I'll just pull this up. We'll use this as our example clip. So the other thing that's super cool is, so instead of loading all these clips onto our active storage, like our Suite Studios, which is what all the editors access, if this clip is in their paper cut, in their script, they can just go in and just easily download the original, very, very, very simply. Another cool function of it. Let's see if I can get to this. So we have a client out of the UK called Beauty Club, and we were shooting a big event for them. You can see here the stock. So each of these are social media clips that all the people who are at this event were posting. So we had to have access to all these social media clips, which we were literally downloading from whatever platform it was. I think in this case, what we did was we set up a Dropbox link for each of the participants,
Okay.
and then we would FTP all the Dropbox stuff into our B2 storage, and then connect Axel. Sounds complicated, is not. Saved tons of time, kept the storage costs really low. But what was cool was we were able to give their social team in the UK access to this folder, and we were shooting at night, which was their morning, and they were able to download all these clips as we were uploading cards, and they were able to then post those in all their social media accounts within moments after we shot them. So after we posted them, it made for this really amazingly fast workflow that allowed the client to keep their community up to date on what was going on this. It was a reward trip for a network marketing company. So, it was like a glamorous, it was for a skincare company, and they were hanging out. It was the glamorousness of Los Angeles and Beverly Hills. It was before the fire.
Wait, did Beverly Hills get hit badly now?
But Hollywood almost did, because there was a fire up behind behind the Dolby Theater and all that, and they actually evacuated the Dolby Theater and the Lowe's and Hollywood Boulevard,
Yikes.
But it
That
didn't
must
get
have been
affected.
interesting.
That was not damaged. Hollywood Boulevard is still as glamorous as it's always been. It's amazing.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Yeah. I especially love the superhero, reenactors
That fight when they
yeah, the whole thing.
okay, does that sync audio and video too?
We don't have a feature for syncing up audio and video. Typically people will do that in their LE, in the editor, so some Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or Avid, those kinds of things. What's nice is we have workflows with all of them, including Final Cut. So there are ways to take this material and put it out into your editor. But one thing we don't try to do at Axel is we don't try and do too much. We're like search, approval, automatic tagging, transcripting, but we're not trying to like boil the ocean, solve all the world's problems. It's been my experience, and I think most of our team, we've seen big clunky systems that try to do that. They end up costing millions of dollars. They're hugely complex and they're proprietary. Things were sort of trending that way when I was at Avid years ago. There are still companies, I probably shouldn't name names, but these big enterprise MAM systems, and they have a tool for everything, but you have to stay within their walled garden. And it's just not realistic for the style of work that is where the growth is these days. Like if you're an old style movie studio or an old style broadcaster, those people are heavily invested in these legacy systems, but they're not going anywhere. And frankly, that business isn't going anywhere as a result. the excitement that we see is in agencies, sports teams, churches, corporates, government video, like all these areas where they don't have giant studio budgets, they don't have an established way of doing things, but they are accumulating huge amounts of content, in many cases hundreds of terabytes, and in some cases petabytes. I mean, I've visited individual theaters that have petabytes of material, you know, municipal governments that have petabytes of footage. It's because they're all shooting 4K, and if you shoot on 4K, stuff builds up really, really quickly, and before you know it, you have all this footage. And if you just have the high res and have to literally hop around and click on every clip, you will never be able to watch it all. And so essentially one of the simplest things that Axel does is it makes viewable proxies. So what Scott was showing you there in the browser, that wasn't the high res footage. It was a 1080 proxy made from that high res. That's what AI can kind of take a bite out of and generate all the metadata from. That's what the transcript is made from. That's what you can watch in your browser and tag. So it's like having a more manageable version of these ginormous files that's browser friendly and kind of AI friendly, and then working with that until you're at the stage where you want your final finished clip. And then if you really want the final render to happen in 4K, you download the high reses and you relink.
And you can download the proxy from Axel, or the editors can download the proxy, or download the full res file, whichever they prefer. So we had a question that says, does Axel on-prem storage have bi-direction sync with Backblaze bucket? Okay, so what we do is we use GoodSync. Works great. It runs every night. It matches our on-prem store. It matches whatever's in our case. I gotta go back. When we used to do it on-prem, it would back up the on-prem storage is what it would do. Now what we do is GoodSync takes and backs up and makes sure everything that's active storage on B2 and Axel and Suite Studios is all matching, but only the stuff on Suite Studios that's active is backing up. So we're not spending a lot of money on our cloud drives. And
so you really got it optimized. So it's the things that you're actively working on are in the Suite Studios, like live working storage.
correct.
You've got your kind of giant pool of user-generated content, B-roll, whatever, in B2, and then you use Axel as kind of like the staging area to figure out what needs to move from the B2 buckets over into the Suite Studios online editing.
Yep.
Is that it?
Yeah, and you know what the great thing is that because Suite Studios work so well, if we can internally, my partner and I can pick up and edit anywhere where it is immediately, and we can look at it, edit. We can open up a sequence right away if an editor needs help, and we can add something to that Suite Studio drive. They get it immediately. We make sure and then at night it backs up to B2 using GoodSync. So we make sure that we're not losing anything. We have it set up so it never drops a version. So we have all of the sequences, and you know and B2 is so cheap in the grand scheme of things to store stuff, and you can move it to super cold storage where you know it's
even cheaper. Yeah.
Arctic storage or whatever they call it. Yeah, where it's even cheaper. But we haven't had to do that.
Now, by the way, coming back to the question, just to clarify one thing, Axel doesn't actually make storage, right? We're just a software layer. Our job is to point to the on-prem, to point to the cloud, to point to different editors and create all these workflows for people. But we don't ourselves make or sell the storage. So we partner, like on-premise, we work with companies like QNAP or NetApp that make, you know, network attached storage, NAS. In the cloud, we work with companies like B2, like Amazon with S3, like Wasabi, these folks who have really great cloud infrastructure. And then our customers get to pick and choose. We're not prescriptive about it. And there are companies that are. There are companies that say, you can use any storage you want as long as it's ours. And if you buy our storage, you have to buy our software. And again, it's these walled gardens. We think that's a style of doing business that is kind of on its way out. Now, mind you, I do think Scott and his team have been like super brilliant about picking and choosing these components. Many people don't have that much flexibility or agility. They're like, okay, give me 2 or 3 vendors and I can make this work. But it is really cool the way, Scott, you've been able to like pick best of breed in these different areas and
Well,
assemble like your own kind of dream team out of that.
yeah, but the thing that, you know, my partner and I, that's great is like, you know, we're very complementary. And one of the things that both of us feel is we ask the vendors what they recommend. And then we figure out from there what kind of works into what we do. And when you do it that way, I think you move and adjust faster and have more stable platforms.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, glad to hear that we're part of that part of that club, and that our recommendations have been useful over the years. It is a big part of what we do. When you look at like what our biggest customers and our smallest and folks in between come to us for, it's maybe 60% the software, and then 40% all the stuff that comes with the
Yeah.
software.
So you introduced us to Nile at
At
Backblaze
Backblaze. Yep.
and Terry
Which
at
is the
Backblaze.
B2. That's B2 is the Backblaze
That's
storage.
me too. And
Yeah.
then Nile, Terry made Nile told what we were doing and got him to introduce us to Sweet Studio.
Yeah.
Sweet Studios, and that's how it came together. But there's everybody just, you know, kind of recommending and trying to help everybody else. And you know, when you're building businesses and you have a low, you're trying to keep your costs low. That's the best way to find out the secrets.
I will also say it's probably unnecessary to mention, but NAB is coming up in about 3 weeks. For those of you that aren't going to be there, you might want to consider it, because a lot of these conversations and possibilities get opened at that conference. You know, just people wandering around saying, "Hey, you should talk to that guy. He's got a really cool this and such." It's different when you're all there on the show floor rather than just surfing the internet. Because on
Yeah,
the internet,
that's how the Sweet Studios came up. It was like Terry
yeah,
grabbed up to Sam and to Nile, and we sat there on the floor, and Nile literally drew it out on his iPad, like, and I have that sketch still that he emailed me. That's how it happened.
yeah, no, I mean, definitely great, connections get made, and vendors that you hadn't thought about get put together in interesting ways. I mean, I will say, for instance, the Data Clay thing, uh, we've been talking to them for a few years, but having it to demo in our booth, where what we'll be showing is kind of the concept that you're talking about, but sort of made easy for people, where you can search your material, you can use that search result or metadata to drive effectively a spreadsheet that gets transferred between the Axle system and the Data Clay, uh, Adobe After Effects kind of manager. So what Data Clay does is it takes a spreadsheet, tells After Effects what to do with it, and then spits out like zillion versions of lower thirds of different different composites and edits, and then just if you want to do A/B testing, you could have 100 versions of the same clip. So it's a very powerful idea, and the odds of, if you were just wandering around the floor, the odds of you're saying, oh, if I just took the output of that one and put it into this one, you might figure that out. But we're trying to simplify it for people, and be a little more proactive about it, so that they don't have to invent it themselves, if you will.
We just had a question about Frame.
Yeah. So is there any way to utilize Frame IO service and storage? We have integrated this with Frame. We've done some push to Frame stuff. We're going to be making more announcements on that over the next few months. Frame is a really cool service. I will say that their storage is kind of on the pricey side. So all the stuff that Scott's talking about with Backblaze or Axle AI Cloud are significantly lower cost than your per terabyte cost in Frame. But Frame has some great workflows, and obviously it has Adobe's marketing muscle and engineering behind it. So we're expecting more great things from it over the next few years, and we definitely see ourselves tying in.
Yeah, and if you're using camera to cloud, that's a great way. It's a great service. But are you able to connect in the cloud, their cloud service to catalog on Axle, since it's just cloud, since at that point it's just cloud service?
We can pull from it. It's not as easy as just accessing B2 or S3 buckets. because it's a little more proprietary. They have an API, but you
Yeah.
can definitely do it. One of the things with them, though, is that as they've transitioned from their 3.0 to their 4.0 version, I think they have a new API. So we did some integration work with the previous version. I actually have to check with them when the API is going to be available for the new Frame 4. I also, on the subject of camera to cloud, we have another partner, Atomos, and we're going to be doing some really cool stuff at the show with them as well. They're like one booth over from us. We're going to be in 4830. They'll be in 48. Is it 4530 and 45?
Yeah, they're right next to Rock to them.
Yeah, right next door. So 4528 in their case, 4530 in our case, both in the South Lower Hall, which used to be convenient. Now the show is spread out from all the way from the West Hall, the North Hall. They've cut out the Central Hall. So you have to take those Tesla shuttles or get a workout going from the West Hall to the South Hall. But I will say a lot of if you're in the post-production and editing side or interested in that, almost everybody you want to talk to is in the South Lower Hall. So you've got Black Magic, you've got Avid, you've got all the storage vendors, you've got all the ingest vendors. All of that action is in the South Hall. The West Hall is more of a OTT kind of broadband output television mix. South Hall is more post-production. And I'm actually not sure what the North Hall is this year, but we'll find out when we get there.
Isn't it radio?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for also. Oh, we should be putting on our site in the next few days a free pass to get. If you don't have a free pass for the show, it should be a very well attended NAB this year. Although I've heard a whole bunch of our Canadian partners who are not going to be there because there is it's essentially a boycott. Those folks are pissed, and rightly so. So don't expect, if you're hoping to meet a lot of Canadians at NAB, this is not your year, sadly. And I'll leave it at that. John says, yeah, we're pissed. As well, you should be. I don't.
Canadians don't get pissed.
What?
Canadians don't get pissed.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot. And well, anyway, we're not going to editorialize here. So, any other questions we can answer? We're actually at the end of the hour. So my goodness, time has flown. Thanks so much. My email is just sam@axel.ai. Scott, do you want to just give
Scott at carpecanum.com,
Yep,
so
yep. And so
feel free to reach
great
out.
having you on. It's been tremendous. Thanks so much. And as ever, super informative and super entertaining. So
All right, everybody. Cheers.
Thank
thanks,
you.
everybody.
Take care. Bye.
Have a good day. Thanks.